Hallo, hier ist Rolf von Tesla und das US und heute mache ich mir einen ganz anderen Setup und zwar das ist das iPhone 14 von meiner Frau und ich habe ein neues Rode Mikrofon hier mit so einem Dead Cat hier dran, also so ein Büschel da dran und wir machen mal einen komplett neuen Setup hier und ich bin auf der Holland American und wir machen mit euch einen Cruise. Ich zeige euch noch was von Florida, wir waren kurz ein paar Tage vorher in Florida. Wir wollen mal sehen, wie nachträglich so ein Cruise-Schiff ist. Es ist neu umgebaut worden. Mal sehen, wie das so ist. Ihr seid dabei.
Hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. Oh, the good times just begun. We know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life.
Well, welcome everybody to the navigation bridge.
Hey, thank you for having us.
So, currently on watch are my colleagues, Erica and Tim. And then I have the guys in the ratios over there, those are the lookouts. So they're responsible for keeping lookout at all times, helping us with alarm management. They're also the guys that would do the little steering on the little steering wheel in the center in case, and we are giving them the steering orders. Alright, so basically, as you can see, we have several consoles all throughout the bridge. The center console is the main console. We use it all times when we're at sea. When we're in port, we would, upon approaching towards the dock, we would obviously move to either the starboard or port side bridge wing to give us a better perspective on approaching the pier. We can maneuver ourselves once we come alongside, right? So let's have a look on the starboard wing and make our way. Feel free to make pictures or ask me questions, anything you like.
Mijn vader aan boord zat dat onder een grote kap buiten en dan stond je buiten.
Oh yeah, yeah. Back in the day, alles was buiten inderdaad. Yeah, everything was outside. And even this ship,
Look at this
21 years old. Can you imagine the ships nowadays, how fancy all the equipment is? Yeah. It's a very new upgrade on a lot of things, new carpet, new system.
I saw the pictures from 5 years ago.
Yeah. You got it as well? Nice.
Yeah, he sent me a picture when he was on the dry dock.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Cool. So as most of you have seen already, the glass plate on the on the floor. Feel free to step on. It is all safe to do so. The reason why we have this plate is to literally see the distance between the ship and the dock, and to also provide us an overview on the lines below. So the forward mooring station pays out lines to the shore side, obviously, to make ourselves eventually to tie up. And some of those lines will pass underneath the bridge wing, so the bridge can also see how these lines pass out.
Wow.
Now what we have on each console on the wings is literally basically a mini display of what we have in the center. In the center it's all a bit more excessive, but this is just literally all you actually need for sailing. So this is our operating system. Right now we're monitoring the radar, but I could also put on the chart, for example. Right now, nowadays we don't have any more paper charts like your father used to have back in the day, but everything is done electronically on the electronic chart. So you see right now, this is our route from the Dominican Republic. There's a lot of text indicating buoys and such. But we're going through this whole area. The orange areas indicates special zones, so each zone is a special environmental area which has certain restrictions upon our discharges, etc. Well, and then over here we end up in Half Moon Cay, and from there on we'll load the next route towards Fort Lauderdale. And then
what are some of the environmental
That's a good question. So we've just left Turks and Caicos, that's this environmental area. And for example, for that area, they don't allow us to discharge our shower water. Everything that goes into the drain from the sink or the shower is not allowed to be discharged in that area. Regarding our discharges, for the requirement worldwide, it is 4 nautical miles from any shore. We are allowed to discharge anything considering sewage or shower water. But keep in mind, obviously, everything is treated on board.
First,
osmosis plant. Yeah, everything treated. However, we have a company requirement throughout our whole fleet that we do everything outside 12 miles. So worldwide, it's MARPOL, maritime pollution requirement is 4 miles, but we do everything outside 12.
Nice.
You go an extent of that.
Exactly.
You triple this
Exactly.
distance.
And sometimes it is kind of hard on some stretches where you, for example, go inside some islands. It doesn't allow you to do those discharges. So we really got to make sure we plan this accordingly with our capacity.
And then for freshwater, you are taking seawater and convert it into freshwater. Is that correct?
Yeah.
With electricity, right?
Electricity, yeah. And also we use the engine heat to basically evaporate the seawater inside a big tank.
Yeah.
The engine heat is then used to evaporate it and produce the fresh water.
Produce fresh water.
You guys seem like a sustainable.
Yeah. We try to.
That's good. You try to get there closer, right?
Future,
Yeah. So what fuel are you using?
Currently we're on HFO. Yes, HFO. Heavy fuel oil.
Heavy fuel oil, right? So,
and we are using a specific system that reduces the amount of sulfur that goes up into the air. And we basically filter that in certain filter bags. And also we try to take out the sulfur by basically spraying water in the funnel down, which take the sulfur out from the exhaust gas.
Yes.
So that's another system that is required nowadays.
So the ship is 21 years old.
Yes,
right.
They added so much technology throughout the years to keep it sailing and up to date. So that's really nice.
Very good, very good.
All the new equipment.
So you really like your job, I see.
I like it. I really like it. Otherwise I wouldn't be doing it.
You're good at it.
I always say I don't work a day in my life because I just like what I'm doing. So it shouldn't be considered work.
So are you someday maybe changing to gas or to hydrogen or something? Because all of your engines are electric, right?
Diesel electric, yes. Our engines can run on heavy fuel oil, but also marine gas oil, which is a cleaner type. It's basically diesel. At the moment, our company is not really looking into anything of that kind yet.
Yes.
It's still under development. Like there's some cruise companies that indeed started going on LNG right now.
Yes.
But the disadvantage of this is that LNG is not delivered anywhere else in the world where this ship is going. For example, we're gonna do a world cruise right now, but LNG is not, you cannot bunker LNG in Africa.
Anywhere, right?
Only in America and Europe as of now.
Yeah.
So it really depends on the itinerary of a certain vessel, if you can do which type of fuel bunkering as such.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Netherlands have a lot of LNG terminals, right?
They do. They do. So Netherlands would be a good option.
Germany just started building it.
We're ahead of that game.
One more question. Do the birds always follow the boat?
Yes, so this is an actually interesting story. What happens when we start sailing is basically the air is lifted up by the vessel speed. It's just like in a car. Once you start driving, you get all this wind, right? And these birds, they love this air lift. So basically they're just following on with our bow. They don't have to do anything and they get lifted upwards.
Basically, there's
What do they do for food though?
they're sailing. They're sailing
Every now and
basically,
then
right?
they tend to leave and then come back. Or, sometimes you get like huge groups of birds that shit all on our deck, you know. We don't prefer that unless we just cleaned it. Sometimes you gotta be lucky.
Yeah, but basically they're sailing to the upwind. They're basically
like
they're
like a plane.
like a plane, like a
Shoring
non-motor train, like a sailplane.
Shoring plane.
So just to give you a bit of information on the propulsion, right now we're on track pilot. Basically, that is this joystick right here. We're literally steering with that. So that's, every click that we give, either to starboard or to port, alters us 1 degree. Then we have several modes on the system as well. You can indeed do it manually. You also have a course mode that compensates for either wind or current, because as soon as this takes place, it will push your vessel aside, right? So it will start compensating. But right now what we're using is track mode, which will literally just keep us on track. So all we have to do really is just monitor if the vessel is doing what we have set. And always she just executes this perfectly. And Not really anything to do from our side at that moment. Obviously, when traffic comes in place, we would have to deactivate the track mode, and then we might have to alter for traffic if that's the case.
So how do you get internet here on the ship?
Internet, all satellite.
All satellite, yeah.
Connection, yeah.
I'm just wondering if I could get my Starlink antenna.
Oh yeah, Elon Musk.
And install it here,
Yeah.
right? That could be a possibility. Or
I guess.
some cruise lines, I think Carnival Cruise Line is allowing now, or has now installed. They installed Starlink antennas all around the top line on the ship.
Right? I didn't know that actually.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So next
So
time we bring
would I be able to, on a cruise, let's say I do a big cruise, could I take my antenna here?
Who knows? I actually had one guest, I had it a couple of contracts ago, that asked if they could put their antenna. But back then the IT officer didn't allow it for some reason. I don't know where to get it, of that, to be honest.
You do have an extra IT officer?
Yeah, we have a specific IT department because we have so many computers and data. And,
Yeah, you have they're right with you all the time, right?
We have one IT officer and 2 assistant IT officers.
Wow.
Install all of our Windows and programs, everything we need.
Wow.
Yeah. Service updates.
You need everything in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
Well, as you can see right here, this is our bow thruster panel. We have 3 thrusters all in the front part of the ship, each 2,500 horsepower. So we can operate those either individually or all together simultaneously. And this will literally push the vessel on the bow sideways. And we have 2 azipods here. Basically, the azipods are 360-degree propellers. So what you might be used to is your regular sailing boat, which has just one propeller and turns a maximum of 30 degrees or so. These azipods can literally turn all around and pull the vessel instead of pushing it in any desired direction. This is very ideal, of course, when we are docking, especially with excessive wind or current. Exactly. Once you have to go to the pier, we usually put both inboard, and if we have to dock, for example, starboard, we just only push this one, and the vessel will just move that way. See, and then we can brake the sideways speed by compensating on this one as well.
Wait, so you're touching them now, but the boat isn't doing it?
Yeah, they're not in control, it's only in control in the center. So I can play around with this all I want.
No, the control is currently in the center. Okay.
Otherwise you would feel the vessel.
I was gonna say.
All the guests were.
So you can play around with it a bit. This is the panel where we would take the controls. If I press this button now and execute, then something will start happening. This is also one of the reasons why we didn't actually, or we stopped doing bridge tours in the past, is because people started touching buttons.
Oh, no, that's not a good idea.
Yeah, that's not a good idea. So that's why I'm monitoring you all. Okay.
Does the boat have a name besides Zutterdam? Do you guys
Does it has a call sign or something?
Yeah, Papa Bravo India Golf. Be big, basically.
Papa Bravo India Golf.
Exactly.
All right.
We call her Zuidi as well.
Zaudi?
Zuidi, like Zuiderdam Zuidi. And this is she, of course.
I told them that already.
Yeah, exactly. And just what we have on the side here is our joystick system. For example, in Half Moon Key tomorrow, there is a very short stretch of land that we can possibly drop our anchor. It's like maybe 100 meters wide, and after that it suddenly gets very deep, right? Disadvantage of that is if you would drop your anchor and the wind will suddenly start blowing 50 knots, chances are you would drag your anchor, and your anchor would drag down into the bottom of the sea, and you would be unable to heave it back up. For that reason, we use the joystick system in many cases, also for docking, to keep the vessel in position. We can literally just press a button, dynamic positioning, and the vessel keeps it on the spot on that desired position. We just have to monitor again if it executes it properly, otherwise we can adjust manually.
How many anchors do you have to sink?
Two
anchors, yeah.
Usually one.
Usually one, but you have two.
Yeah. All right. Each anchor is about 10,000 kilos.
Oh. 26,000 pounds.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Does anyone use the binoculars?
Yeah, you can if you like.
I was just about to ask.
We use them all the time, honestly.
Yes?
Yeah,
What are you looking for?
well,
Land?
it might seem very quiet, but these guys literally spot any ships in the distance that you would not see as of now. I can actually see right now it's usually quiet in this area, but there's a lot around. We're also, for example, monitoring whales. If we see any whale sprouts, because we have to
You have to maneuver around the rails, right?
Yeah, you don't want to start hitting them. Yeah. Obviously at night we don't see them, but during the day we
Have
are
you
also
ever hit a whale?
I have not, but I had them diving up right before, and then we suddenly had to start
Wow.
deviating.
Because it takes a long time to move it, to steer a ship, right?
It does, but we can reduce that time, but that will affect the list. It's just like in a car, when you make a turn, you're getting pushed to the, or pulled to the side, right?
Yeah.
Same with the ships, you will start listing. So we prefer to take our time, but in any emergency, we would have to steer very quickly. It will affect the list. Yeah.
Very cool.
Much better to
Yeah.
than to hit.
But yeah, we use these binoculars a lot, for
We have them in our cabin.
docking. Yeah,
You have them in your
I
cabin.
looked over the ocean this morning with my coffee.
Actually, there is an island what we passed this morning that what is that? Turks and
Yeah, Turks and Caicos.
Turks and Caicos. Yeah. It is a nice island.
Yeah, it is.
I looked at the pictures there, and nobody. I did not know about this island at all. And it's a British island. It's a British island, and the Spanish had it before, and then the French, and then the British. But now it's a British island, belongs to
This one over here.
British crown.
This morning.
Yes.
Yeah, so these green lines that you see are our outside 12 lines. So we're currently outside 12, which allows us to do those discharges.
Yeah.
But then at waypoint number 10, we cross into that green line, which means we have to keep our overboards closed again. And then this will be our inside passage.
Cool.
There were some guests that asked us also, like, why is the ship rolling a bit? As you can see, this is the whole ocean, and all this ocean, this Gulf Stream, takes all these waves, wind, everything all along, and that is the reason why we might get affected slightly on our stern. There's also vessels that take the inside passage, but for operational reasons that doesn't always work, because you have to deal with your discharges, freshwater production, etc.
Yeah.
So that's why. Let's have a look on the center. This is our Christmas decoration, just temporarily.
Little train.
Yeah, a little train.
YouTube.
Yeah, what do we have right here? Just a regular computer. This is our AnyRun fuel efficiency program. We basically set our estimated time of departure and arrival in this system, and it will literally tell us how much engines we have to run, how much RPM we would have to use to be as efficient as possible.
That's good, because you try to save fuel.
Exactly,
Right?
especially nowadays.
Yeah.
It's very expensive, and we need to save as much as we can. Here another just electronic navigational chart we use for planning as well on the way. This is our public announcement system, and in the case of emergency, or for example when the captain does his noon speeches, it is all done from here.
Really?
Yes.
Yes.
You wanna go ahead? These are the alarms we use. Also in case of any emergency, number 1 indicates the fire, 2 is to get the crew on, and 3 is to get the guests on deck as well, everybody to proceed to their stations. Hopefully we only use that during drills.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Why do you have different country flags?
For all our voyages that we actually done in the past, and we have upcoming as well. Yeah. These are also the signal flags, so from Alpha to Zulu. So these signal flags either indicate that you're, for example, having divers down below, you're bunkering fuel, you require clearance from the port, all that stuff.
What did you do during the World Cup? You put Argentina's flag?
Yeah, we did not hoist that one, unfortunately. I was actually for Croatia, so. But I think Messi did a really nice job.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
And you know what, the queen's wife, the queen is actually from Argentina.
Yeah, true.
So why?
They must have been happy.
Well, they have been happy.
It has some kind of relation with Netherlands.
You're right.
Right here we have a little display. The actual unit is in the back of the bridge, but this is basically the VDR, Voyage Data Recorder. Everything we say right now is recorded with these microphones. We have cameras on the bridge as well. And every action that we perform on our system is also recorded. So the captain can check back anytime if there was an incident, for example, what we did. Let's say the vessel would sink as well. There is a little box on top of the ship that would have to be detached by divers once they're on the bottom of the sea, let's say. Yeah. They can then investigate. It's like a
basically black box for ships.
For ships.
For a ship.
Yeah. So that's how that works. Yeah. Also, our fleet operations center ashore is currently monitoring all our radars, also cameras, every action that we perform. At one time in Singapore, we dropped anchor with one of our captains. It seemed to be all safe, but then the office called us up on one of the telephones. They said, "Hey, you're pretty close to a pipeline. You know, we want you to heave up anchor and go a bit further." So that's how it goes as well.
You don't know that always, right?
Yeah, we actually knew, but the captain said that it was safe. So it really depends on office. Sometimes they like us to do anything else.
Excellent.
And all right, then we go into here. This is our safety center, where we monitor everything regarding safety. So this includes, for example, watertight doors, which we have to isolate certain compartments in order to prevent the flooding from spreading if we would have damage. As you can see, cameras right here. We have our fire plans. In case of a fire, from here we can start closing fire screen doors that will isolate the area as well. And then we would sound the alarm and get our troops in there to extinguish the fire. You can literally perform any action and monitor every action from here. Cameras all around.
What are you guys looking for? Just like trouble?
Looking for, we're making a plan here how to approach the fire. Yes. We're checking which deck is below. Is there any, like a fuel tank below that we need to take into consideration? Because if you have a fire on top and the fuel, you know, might react, or is a chemical stored anywhere, we need to check all that stuff. Yeah. Where's the closest hose? Where are the extinguishers that we can use? Which fire screen doors can we block off? It's a whole strategy that we get in place. Yeah.
So the most people make always fun about icebergs.
Yeah. This is why we have these watertight doors. You see most of them are closed now. At sea we are allowed to have several open for operational reasons, of course. But definitely during arrivals and departures, which are the most critical points of maneuvering, all of them need to be closed. Then obviously our cameras. Once we actually have a fire in any of the engine room areas, the camera would pop up right away with the fire being displayed. As you see here, this is our side door system. This means the shell doors, for example, where you leave the ship, that is the shell door which you're exiting from. Everything green, so everything is closed. That's good. Then we have dampers here. So of course we have a lot of ventilation systems on board the vessel. In case of a fire, we would need to close the ventilation, of course, to stop the fire from spreading. We can do that from here. Zone by zone, we have different fire zones throughout the ship. We can isolate it accordingly to stop the fans and close the dampers.
Looks like Battleship.
Yeah, nice. This is our sprinkler system. So as you can see, several sprinkler heads all throughout the ship. If the heat in the room rises up above 60 degrees, the bulb will melt, and then this will give us an indication in which section we have an area where the pressure is being dropped, so there might be a fire. We would send somebody, we have our first responder on call 24 hours a day, which we can send, and then he will let us know if there's a fire or not. Yeah. And you see a lot of lights here. This is our fire screen door panel. I was talking about in case we have a fire, we close these fire screen doors. This is the status of it. Most of them should be open right now because operational wise, you know, we want everything to be open. But in case of a fire, we can close everything also individually, but one by one as well. And over here is our stability computer. This shows, for example, green is gray water, which is shower water or sink water. Blue is fresh water. We have several tanks. We monitor our stability if it's all within the parameters.
Yes, so that you don't get too much movement in the left or right.
Exactly, and to ensure we are upright at all times. For example, in Fort Lauderdale, we'll start taking in fuel again, bunkering. And then we'll, for example, fill up a tank and we'll see how much effect that has and what we have to do to compensate in order to keep the vessel upright. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And then we'll have a look on the port side here.
Die ist schon 20 Jahre alt. 20 years old technique. Still good.
Yeah, very nice stand. Well, so this is the center console. I'll not distract my colleagues too much. As you can see, you see most of the equipment we already discussed on the starboard side. It's just a little more detailed on here. For example, over here, what we didn't see yet is our stabilizer panel. So currently we have both stabilizers out, which compensate for the vessel's rolling motion. Try to keep her upright. If we would not have these out, we would be rolling like crazy. Yeah. So that's a very handy tool to have. It takes the speed into account as well. We have another radar here. You see the green echo. Currently no traffic, but if we would have any traffic, a green target would light up. These radars are also very handy, for example, in detecting clouds, which are full of rain. We would also be able to detect those and try to dodge it if we would have to. For example, yesterday we had New Year's, we had the microdome open. We were strictly monitoring for any clouds present to keep it dry. So, yeah.
Are there any people that want to take a picture with the steering wheel? Now's the time.
Would you like to?
Yeah. Steering wheel? We're still steering it.
We moeten nog even een foto samen maken. Hier, in de midden.
Here? Where's the steering wheel?
You can hold it again.
That really scares the shit.
Yeah. That's the
Oh
one.
my goodness.
But it's basically almost the same like that little stick, right? You could also do it with that little stick, right?
This is the main stick right now.
Yeah, that with that stick there. The joystick.
Go ahead, you can touch it if you like.
No, we.
You want to take a picture? Oh, nothing will happen, don't worry.
I'm gonna do it. No, I don't want a photo. You get a photo.
Yeah, get a photo with that.
You can even turn it.
Captain aboard.
Usually it's this one. He sits in, yeah. So he uses this radar right here, calling screen to monitor all the information. He has a good oversight.
I feel like Star Trek sometimes.
Yeah, it is. Like a spaceship.
Very interesting.
Yeah, the only things outstanding right here. Here you have our navigational lights, which we use all times basically. So right now these lights indicate that we're on our way towards the port of call. These are all lights throughout the ship at night. We turn on the night lights, obviously. This is our watch alarm. Every 12 minutes we have various buttons through the bridge. We need to press this at least once. If we don't, at some point the timer will go off. If we don't acknowledge that alarm in 20 seconds, alarm will go off in captain's cabin. Yes, so that means we are sleeping.
It's like the same in a train.
Yeah.
In a city express, then you have to press the button.
Exactly. Yeah. So
So
every
many
12
times,
minutes, press that button. Some ships, even the newer ones, they have like motion detected cameras. So every time you just move your hand in the air or you scroll it along the trackball on the mouse, it will reset the timer. But here we just have the fancy buttons. Once again, this is our tank monitoring diagram. We can also monitor, for example, the engine load. So we have 5 engines on this ship together with a gas turbine. The gas turbine we don't use anymore because it runs on diesel and it burns a lot of diesel, which is very expensive nowadays. So we just stick to our 5 diesel electric propulsion engines. Right now we're running on 2 engines.
Basically, they are electric propulsion engines, but you are producing the electricity,
Yes.
and then you're using the electric propulsion engines.
Yeah, so the
right?
engine is basically shaft-driven, connected to a generator.
Generator.
That motion is
Yes.
turned into electricity via the
Yes.
generator.
Yes.
That provides the electricity to the azipods, but also to the entire hotel electrical network.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very interesting how that goes into place.
Yeah, basically it's better to have an electrical motor operating, right? It's also lesser maintenance, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's very good. Hopefully someday we'll be able to run on hydrogen or
maybe someday on hydrogen. Yes.
Then right here, this is our GMDSS panel. This is literally all the equipment we use in case of distress, contacting the shore, and so on. We have also various substations throughout the bridge. This allows us to send, for example, messages to shoreside Coast Guard stations in case we are at distress. These phones allow us to communicate with any cell phone. I could literally call your phone from here as well, but obviously we use it to contact our Fleet Operations Center, and they can thereon contact the Coast Guard. These are several radios we can use to contact other vessels up to even 300 miles away. However, it depends on whether the vessel is sailing at night or during the day, because at night the signal is transmitted basically in a better way compared to daylight.
Do you have any stories of where you had to work with the Coast Guard?
Yes, I actually did. Very, very occasionally it happens that a guest requires medical attention, for example, and in a case like that we would need to be able to contact the Coast Guard as soon as possible. And then it's basically determined how much time does the guest need. Is it super urgent? Do we literally need a helicopter to fly in? Or can the vessel make it in time by just speeding up on their engines alone? What is more efficient? What is cheaper?
Yeah.
But yeah, we actually had it 2 months ago. We were in the middle of the Pacific, and there was one guest that required immediate medical attention. And they had to send 2 US Coast Guard helicopters. One to actually transport the guest, but another one to actually do the bunkering in place, because they were 400 miles off the coast.
Refueling.
Yeah.
Far away.
And refueling.
Yeah, it was very interesting to see. So those are cases where we would need to contact the Coast Guard.
My aunt and uncle are in the Coast Guard.
Oh yeah? Okay. Well, you'll be able to provide them with the fish. Yeah, some radios up here. We've got light jackets in the cabinet, some extinguishers. We have flares up here, which we will be able to use in case of distress.
You could have used it yesterday.
Yeah, we could have, yeah. Fortunately, they're very expensive.
I believe that.
Yeah. Little wheelhouse poster for information on our vessel. And then just the port side wing as well. The same as
It's the same as the opposite side,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
In the same setup.
This side is more sunny though. So. Yeah.
Wow, that was very informative.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. If you have any questions or you would like to take some pictures, feel free.
Yeah.
Let's make a group picture and I want to be
Ja, hallo, da sind wir und ich hoffe, die Tour hat euch gefallen, aber es ist schon immer noch ganz schönes Stück weit weg. Und ich drehe mich mal hier so ein bisschen, was wir hier sehen, deshalb habe ich auch die Sonnenbrille auf. Ist noch ein ganz schönes Stück weit weg von Sustainable Transportation. Also wenn ihr jetzt das so seht, da ist schweres Öl oder Diesel wird da gebraucht. Das Gute daran ist, alles wird hier mit Elektrizität gemacht. Das sind keine Kurbelwellen mehr oder so weiter, die irgendwelche Propeller antreiben, sondern alles wird elektrisch gemacht, Elektromotoren, und die treiben dann das Schiff an verschiedenen Richtungen. So, jetzt muss die Stromerzeugung dazu umgestellt werden. Wie lange dauert das? Also der erste Schritt ist wahrscheinlich erstmal auf Gas umzustellen, und viele Cruise Lines haben schon Gas. Das Schiff war auf einer Überholung, die haben einiges gemacht, um Benzin oder schwere Öle und Diesel zu sparen, um sehr effizient zu fahren. Vielleicht kann man noch ein Stück effizienter fahren, indem man einfach dort, heißt es hier, ein Segel anspannt. Es gibt auch Schiffe, die haben auch sogar noch so ein Vorsegel, den sie angespannt haben dazu. Aber das wird dann auch schon schwierig, aber erstmal auf Kompressed Gas umzustellen, also Kompressflüssiggas umzustellen, das dann hier umgewandelt wird und dann eine Gasturbine wird dann benutzt, um Elektrizität zu erzeugen. Das ist schon mal ein Schritt weiter. Und dann kann man den zweiten Schritt mal machen, anstatt das an Flüssiggas zu nehmen, macht man flüssigen Wasserstoff, und dann braucht man hier Brennstoffzellen oder ziemlich große Brennstoffzellen, die das flüssige Wasserstoff umwandeln wieder in Energie und Wasser. Dann hat man zumindest Wasser erstmal, in dem man es benutzen kann. Und das ist dann schon also zum Vorteil. Was ich gut fand, war auch, dass die im 12-Meilen-Radius nur ihre gefilterten Abwasser wieder wechseln. Das ist schon mal gut. Die machen also nicht von einem 4-Meilen-Radius, sondern von einem 12-Meilen-Radius und versuchen sich immer eher im 12-Meilen-Radius zu halten. Ich hoffe, das hat euch auch mal gefallen, die Brücke und die Einblicke in der Brücke. Ich muss es natürlich wieder dubben, aber ich kann das ja nicht doppelt machen. Der junge Herr war sehr enthusiastisch. Guido heißt sein Vorname, war sehr enthusiastisch darüber. Er ist Seefahrer, er fährt gerne und er hat das alles schön erklärt. Ich hoffe, es hat euch auch gefallen. Natürlich dann Daumen nach oben. Wir versuchen noch mal mehr zu sagen, was es bringt oder was es kostet, um irgendwie nachhaltig Transport zu machen oder Transport zu fahren. Also hier ist es schon ein Stück noch weiter weg, aber da kann man auch hinkommen. Die Schiffe sind elektrisch, das ist alles für Elektrik gebaut. Man muss jetzt bloß eine andere Stromerzeugung haben, dann ist man dann auch dran. Ciao, ciao, bis zum nächsten Mal. Jetzt drehe ich mich wieder um. Zur Sonne, könnt ihr nochmal die karibische Sonne hier genießen.